the Coaches Show. I'm Lloyd Shoemaker, your host, and sitting beside me is the men's head basketball coach at Piqua High School, Coach Heath Butler. Before we get started, I want to take an opportunity to thank our sponsors. Our main sponsor is First Choice Paint and Body Shop here on North 25A in Piqua. If you get a dent in your car, you need it repainted, or you just need put back together after driving it into a tree, they're the people to call. They'll take care of you. Sherry Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram truck out on 25A also, actually right across the street from First Choice. Sherry's in the process of building a new building out there, so if you drive in and you see the construction, don't get confused. They're still going to sell you a car at a good price. Morris Heating and Cooling, they are located in their new facilities down on the corner of College and Young Street in Piqua, and they're looking forward to having you come down and take a look. So stop in at Morris Heating and Cooling. And also, finally, we want to thank F45 for being one of our sponsors again this year, making a donation to Channel 5 WOTVC. Channel 5 and F45's training facility is located there along the strip mall outside of the Miami Valley Mall, right behind Buffalo Wings and Rings. So be sure and go out and visit these sponsors of the Coaches Show, and I know they will appreciate seeing you and having you stop by. So, Coach, we are at the point in the season where you've got like 4 games to go. You're 5-13 on the season, 3-9 in the league play. You've got a game this Friday night, a nice game with Sydney coming up. They get to come play in our house this time. And then on Saturday night, following that game, you got Elida coming in from up around Lima. They're 10-5 on the season, 5-1 in the Western Buckeye League. And then you go up to Greenville on Tuesday the 14th, and you finish with Troy down here, and they're currently tied with you in the league at 5-13, or excuse me, at 3-9. So let's talk a little bit about those teams coming up. Sydney went up there; they didn't treat you very nice, but you had played some teams up to that point that were really strong offensive teams. Belmont for one in the finals of the holiday tournament. Belmont kind of put it to you pretty good. I've talked to you about this before. I thought you guys did a fantastic job of laying out your defense against Trotwood. I could not believe, because I'd asked you about it one time, how you were going to go. You're going to slow it down or no? And you said, no, we don't slow down things. But when I saw you guys come out there and pack that defense into that key, it was obvious what you were going to do. You keep them out of there. Well, the first play, you didn't keep them out of there, but the boys got the message, I think. You let them know. But after that, the night was pretty much your defense is what was impressive to me. Fourth quarter, they got athleticism on you, and they took off and won that ball game. What made you decide to go with that defense?
I don't know. It just, as we sit down and watch film and as we game plan, you always want to take away the team's best thing that they do. And obviously Trotwood's best thing that they do is to drive it to the paint. And one of the things that makes this Trotwood team probably a little bit better than maybe even the team that they took all the way to state in Division I a couple years ago is the fact that they're super patient. And they're willing to be patient and wait till you kind of have a lapse and then slice in there, for layups or for short shots. So, it's just that's the best thing we do. And every team we play, we try to take away the best thing they do and make them use their other options. So, the game plan is to make them shoot from the outside, to be patient, don't get antsy. And I thought, like you said, defensively we did a great job of that the entire night. Minus the 2 or 3 minute span there in the fourth quarter where. And that wasn't so much our defense, that was a little bit more of our offense, and we had 3 straight turnovers. And when you turn the ball over versus Trotwood, they're so explosive in transition, and that led to 6 or 7 points, and that's what stretched a 10-point out lead, to a 17-point lead. So.
Well, that defense, when you back that in there like that, even if they took the shot from the outside, they didn't have any way of getting inside to get their offensive rebound.
Right.
Your boys did a good job of boxing them out there.
Right, and that's another thing that packing your defense does allow you to do, is to rebound like that. And I know people want to look at our record and say this and that and the other, but when it comes down to it, we have guys that are buying in, and when you measure success about getting 15 individuals to buy into something bigger than themselves, I thought we've had a lot of success in that this year, and packing the defense in, being patient, and then sacrificing yourself to box out and get rebounds. And not an easy thing to do, to ask a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid to kind of sacrifice a little bit, sacrifice some of that individual glory for team glory. So the kids did that night. They've continuously did that. We've fallen short here in a couple of our previous games, but we feel very confident about where we're at and continue to get better. And we have a big one, like you said, Friday night. And we're going to try to take away what Sydney does best, which is the Gordon kid, and some different things there, and try to make sure we're patient with the basketball on the offensive end. So, and then work our way from there.
Why don't you just slip him a message there when he checks in the ball game and tell him he's wanted on the phone in the lobby?
Yeah, the problem is he starts, and he is probably, in my 7 years of doing this, 9 years if you count my 2 years under Bixler, he's probably one of the most explosive and probably the most explosive kid I've ever seen play in Garvey Gymnasium, and that includes the likes of a Chris Wright from Trotwood, who played at UD.
Chris Wright was a heck of a ball player.
And I think Gordon is just as athletic and as explosive, a little bit shorter, but maybe a little bit more skilled shooting the basketball. So, he's been terrorizing people. The thing is that Tip beat them a couple nights ago. Last week on a Tuesday night, and it kind of took him away a little bit. And so just like we're trying to find ourselves as we make a run here at the end, Sydney's in the same boat, even though the record's a little bit better. They're trying to figure out what we're going to do when people really focus on taking away Gordon, and it's going to be a great battle.
Sydney comes in here 11-1 in the league and 15-4 overall. They knocked off Trotwood a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago. And then Sydney goes out and gets beat by Tip City. I mean, who can figure with the way this thing is going from time to time? But coming in here with that kind of a record, playing like they are, you're going to have to be ready for them. That's for sure. Sydney leads the American North and the G-Walk right now with that 11-1 record, and Greenville second with 8-4. And then you got Tip at 6-6, Butler's at 4-8, and then we're tied with Troy at 3-9. Coming into the last 4 games of the season. Well, then, after that game, you got Elida coming in here on Saturday night. What do you really know about them at this point?
That they're very well coached. The guy does a great job with them. When we talk about getting our kids to buy in, he can continuously year after year get his kids to buy in. And they had, maybe some people may call them down, in the past couple years, but with their record, they've been very successful in the WBL, and they're going to look to be very patient on offense, but at the same point in time, it's not going to be a slow down stall kind of game.
No.
They're going to work the ball, and the thing about him is that he teaches man-to-man defense, and he does it pretty darn well. And they're really going to D you up, play very solid on the basketball, move their feet, and be very solid on their help side defense. So probably one of the most fundamentally sound teams that we're going to face this year. And the Sydney game and Elida game and Greenville and Troy, they all present different challenges, which is good because the tournament draw is this Sunday, and we don't really know who we're going to get at this point. So we're going to get practice in a lot of different ways. We're going to get practice guarding a great player. Saturday, we're going to get practice guarding a very fundamentally sound team. Tuesday, we're going to see run and jump from Greenville. And then Friday, we're going to see a scrappy Troy team. That's a lot like us. So we're going to get 4 different tests, and we hope to prove ourselves in each of those.
Well, you had Greenville here at home, and you lost that ball game 72-53. If I remember correctly, it wasn't. The spread wasn't that big throughout the ball game, was it?
No, it was one of those games, and we've kind of had a habit of this at times this year, is falling behind early by 8 or 10. And if you remember, right, we played that game without Nate. He was sick.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So we lost. That was obviously a loss for us. But we battled there. You take away that early 10-point run. The game's a 5-7 point game, and all the teams besides the Sydney game we thought we were in. Vandalia, we lost at the buzzer, had a shot to win it. Went down there and played Vandalia for the second time, and one of those nights where we just didn't play very well, but still had our chances. So we feel very good about going into these last 4 games.
Well, you talk about that Butler game. You end up losing that ball game by, 30 points?
Yeah.
20 points, something like that. It was 55-35 was the final score. But prior to that, West Carrollton was a big win for you by 19 points. And then you had those 2 games where you lost by 2 points at the buzzers against Xenia and St. Mary's. How did your team react to that?
they responded just like they've responded to every obstacle this year, with great poise, great enthusiasm about the next obstacle. We have a great set of kids that, things haven't been going great for us as a team. And just like in life, you're going to encounter obstacles where you got to make a choice. You can either sit and pout about it, or you can control what you can control, which is, controlling your next step. And our team has done that to the nth degree. And like I said earlier in the show, you want to measure us on wins and losses, that's fine, that's on me. But if you're going to measure our team, measure them on how they've overcome some obstacles. And I think, we've stuck together through it all. It hasn't been easy, but, we still come out. And if you'd watched us tonight on the practice floor, we had a great practice, intense practice, physical practice tonight. And that's a credit to the kids.
Yeah. When you played Stebbins down there, very hostile environment. You end up winning that ball game by 13 down there. Tippecanoe comes in here, and 45-50 was the final in that ball game. I tell you, I would have never have thought that there was any way you were going to lose that ball game the way you controlled it for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the way the entire year. And it seems like every game, besides a couple, we've had like a 2 or 3 minute lapse where we just aren't sound with the basketball. In the Tip City game, we're up 10, 12 going into the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, and we just had a 3-minute period where we had 3 straight possessions with 3 turnovers, and then we let them down the lane and lost some of the key guys in transition, and let them shoot some open shots, and they cut a 12-point lead down to almost nothing, and then at the end we just didn't make enough plays to come out on top.
Milton Union came in here last Saturday night. You took care of them 60-47, won by 13. A lot of good things in that ball game. It was good to see Nate get scoring again. You lost that game against Tip City by 5 points. I don't think he had 5 points, did he?
I'm not for sure.
It was late in the game before he ever scored.
Right, and the thing with Nate is that he's one of the biggest, most athletic guys in our league, and when you're the biggest and most athletic, you got to play through a lot of contact that somebody smaller may not play. So, people will see Nate, maybe missing a layup here or there and think, oh, why can't he just put it in? Well, he's going through a lot of contact that you may not be able to see from the stands, and he's doing it on a continuous basis. So, yeah, he didn't have his greatest night, but he still helped out, did a great job on the rebounds and all that. So it's just one of those nights where, sometimes the ball goes in, sometimes it doesn't. And we feel that while we didn't win, we still played pretty well. And we feel that we played very good for, like you said, 3.5 quarters. Yeah.
Well, then the final game of the season, home game here against Troy. Scores there, previous scores in those ball games don't mean a thing. It's Piqua Troy. It's, the war starts when the whistle blows. So you guys could be trying to stay out of the basement in the north, and so you're going to have to really be prepared for them when they come in, and I know you will be, Coach. So let's talk a little bit about the team now. It's we spent the entire year talking about your games and your records and stuff, but let's talk about the kids, and let's start out with Mr. Schmeezing, who's leading all the scores right now with just a little over 14 points a ball game, hitting 37% of his threes. He's 6'1", hits the boards like a 6'4" guy. He also hits the boards like a football player. And with him and Nate Monin in there going against on those boards, you got some real physicality coming out of those kids.
Yeah, and I'll talk about them together because they're very similar. Like you said, really hit the boards hard, and they're very blue-collar kids. They'll do anything you ask of them. And we've kind of asked Ben here lately to really play inside a lot more. We've looked to get it down, and Nate's been doing what he's been doing for 3 years now, which is, own offensive rebounds, do a good job on the defensive boards, always guard the guys. Biggest player, and then once again play through a lot of contact. So it's been very easy for both of those kids to kind of, when things as a team aren't going well, but you're having a little bit of individual success, to kind of start looking at the other guys and start blaming others for the lack of team success. But they haven't done that at all. They've been great leaders for us.
Well, Nate's almost averaging a double-double. He's averaging 11 points a ball game and 9 rebounds. Doing an excellent job in there. When I watch him, has he put on some weight late in the season? He looks a little bit bigger than what he was when he started. But boy, I'll tell you, when he gets that body moving in there, you don't want to get in his way.
Right, and the thing is that not only is he big, but he's also very athletic. I mean, he can handle the ball like a point guard at times, and can do some good stuff for us. So, I'm very happy for Nate and the successes he's had these past 3 years at the varsity level, and we wish him to finish out the year strong and to have a lot of success at Kent State.
Talk about Gage. Tell us about Gage.
Gage is our kind of poster child for, as a junior, you may not get to play a lot. And it's very easy when you don't get to play a lot is to start blaming others. The coach doesn't like me or something along those lines. But give Gage Smith a lot of credit because, it'd been very easy for him to come in his senior year and say, I'm just going to, have fun my senior year. And we wouldn't have blamed him either way. But he came in and he made a decision, hey, I'm going to start working. I'm going to do what coach asks. And for the majority of the year, he's done a great job at that. He is our outside threat, even though he may not be shooting a great percentage. But he's still, a lot of teams, when you see us play, the opposing coach goes, find number 12, he's the shooter. And he's kind of found his niche. He's done enough defensively to kind of sit down and guard a little bit. Yep. And that has increased his playing time a little bit more. And also been able to knock down some key shots. And the great thing about Gage is that he's always kind of had this confidence when it comes to shooting the basketball. And that's kind of what you need. You got to have that one guy that's kind of unconscious. He can miss 4 in a row, but he can also make 4 in a row. So, you play the law of averages and they kind of average out. So, he's a great example of what it takes to wait your time, wait your chance. But when your chance is here, to take advantage of it. And he's done a great job.
Well, he's one of your best shooters from the outside at 35% from the threes. And he gets into that corner and just sort of sits there and waits on somebody to get him the ball because he's usually open, and as soon as he gets it, he's ready to fire it. Caleb Patton, averaging 5.4 points a ball game for you, doing a good job on there, getting up. He can get up on those boards pretty good.
Yeah, he's done a great job, and the biggest thing that you'll notice out of Caleb, if you saw Caleb play earlier in the year versus Wapak or Vandalia to now, is he's playing with a lot of confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And he's kind of not letting little things bother him, and he's kind of found his niche as a slasher, can still knock down an open shot, but is really very good and actually plays a lot bigger than he really is. He has very long arms, and he's very tough because he's left-handed, so that throws some people off sometimes of getting to the hole, and he's been able to finish. And I couldn't be happier for a kid like Caleb just because he's another one that didn't, he played last year, beginning of the year last year, didn't play a lot, ended up playing very well at the end of the year, and then started this year not playing, up to his potential, but kind of just found what it took mentally and emotionally, and the sky's the limit for an athletic kid like that. The thing with Caleb is he's always been a smart kid, has always been, know where to go, but the next part is kind of stepping up with that leadership role, and I think he's done a great job with that.
Yeah, he does, and you're right, he is a slasher in there. I've seen him take it to the basket and work his body in between the defenders who are trying to stop him and put it up there, and he gets some of the darndest rolls that go into the basket. I got to ask you about Hayden. Did you ever imagine that he was going to be your point guard out there?
Not really. It kind of just happened that way, but he's done a great job with it. The thing is that, in today's age where you're going to see, in our league versus Greenville and with the crossovers of Zena and Stebbins and some Trotwood, obviously, is you got to have a bigger kind of guy just because you're going to see traps. And, a smaller guy has a tougher time of sitting over the trap. And that's one thing that we've been able to do very well this year. And it kind of started last year with Bradley Holbein, a bigger, maybe not a true point guard, but just a taller type of kid to be able to see over the press to make a diagonal pass over the top. And, Hayden's done that. He has hit some bumps and roads, and he has, had a span where maybe, he lost the confidence a little bit scoring. But the thing with Hayden is that you can always count on him to play defensively. And then the other nice thing is to have a 6'3" point guard that's going to hit the board. So he's done a good job with that and finding his role. And he's a point guard that's not going to force the issue with his own shot. He's going to try to get other people involved. And I think he's going to continue to improve this offseason and be an even better point guard next year.
He's averaging about 2.5 points a ball game. And in early part of the season when he was out there on the floor and he was shooting, you could tell he was not a prolific shooter. He wasn't going to make a lot of points for you out there. But you're right, he's a good rebounder. And when I saw him starting to bring the ball up the floor, and then I saw those times when he actually just beat that defender and took it to the basket, and because of his size, and as quick as he is for his size, he's not as big as Nate or anything like that, but as quick as he is for his size, he was able to get in there and physically move those defenders and get the layup and score some points for you.
Right, and he's done a great job with that, especially here lately. He's averaging 2.6, but he's been our leading scorer here a couple times. So, and you're right. It's one thing to get in there, but it's another thing to be big enough and strong enough to finish like that. And give Hayden a lot of credit because he's put a lot of time in the weight room to try to improve his body, and that's why next year heading into football season, he's going to be a very highly sought after recruit in the football field at wide receiver. Anytime you have a 6'3", 6'4" kid that can run and be athletic and catch the ball, he's going to get a lot of attention.
His speed is deceptive.
It is.
You don't realize how fast he's getting up and down that floor until you're sitting right there on the floor and watching him go flying by. And he does a great job. And again, you've got Smeezing, you got Nate Monin, you got Shrub coming off the football team. All three of those kids are really physical in there for you, and you need that. Mr. Harrison comes out on the floor. He just plays that defense, drives that guy, bringing the ball up the floor, drives him crazy. Causes a lot of panic out there, doesn't he?
Yes, and he's done a great job of just trying to find his role here a little bit. And he found it as a defender. And we've kind of allowed him to play at the two guard a little bit more with Hayden playing the point guard. And I think that's really helped Zian a lot because he is a pretty good shooter from the corner, from the wing. So he's done a good job. He's another kid that I know is going to put a lot of time in here in the off season and be so much better than he was this year, kind of like a Gage Smith or a Caleb Patton or a Ben Schmeezing. They're going to work very hard this offseason, and you're going to come out and watch a game next year, and you may not even recognize him.
Well, he certainly he has certainly cleaned up his act from the beginning of the year to now, and he certainly is, like you say, a good number two. He had a tendency in the past, in the beginning, and even last year as a reserve player, I noticed he kind of got out of control at times, bringing the ball up the floor or trying to do something with it, and would turn it over. But in that number two spot, he doesn't necessarily have
Right, and he's done a good job of not only growing, improving his shot, but also, we're real big on our kids and improving the physical aspect of it, the mental and the emotional. And the emotional aspect is kind of where he may have fell short in the past, that, as a sophomore, which all sophomores kind of have that, about them. But he's done a very good job of being emotionally tough, and I think if he continues that, he's going to end up being a very good player for us.
Now we're going to talk about Mr. Regola, the other kid who sits in the corner and shoots the ball for you. And we talked about this once before, is when it's coming down the floor, he just comes down the floor and plants himself in that corner, and eventually the ball gets to him and he can shoot it from there. I think it was in the Tip City game, perhaps, that I saw him come out of that corner and go across for an offensive rebound. And he was up above that rim. I didn't realize the kid could jump like that.
Yeah, with all the success we've had, one of the things we've never really been able to do is have a dunk competition in practice. Guys like Nate, Ben, Shrub, Devin Fosler's even getting up there, Nick Regola, and people like that. We've actually been able to kind of go two lines and have a little bit of fun with watching some kids dunk. And you watch Nick leap. He has probably some of the most explosive vertical ability to get vertical than a lot of players we've had here, and he is very explosive. The big thing with Nick, kind of with Zian is that mental aspect, overcoming that mental hurdle. And what people saw on Friday night versus Tip is stuff we see all the time in practice. It's just, can it translate over? And he's finally starting to translate some things over. He's getting a little bit more playing time. He's getting a little bit more shots, and then he's taken that to another level, which is what we're going to need him to do, the rest of this year and going into next year, is to hit the offensive boards a little bit. So,
well, it kind of looked like when Hunter Hawk got hurt, and you put Nick in there to fill that fifth spot. He sort of went in there like a deer in the headlights. He was just very cautious about it. I got to go from here to here, and then all of a sudden you saw that confidence level build. And as that confidence level build, you saw him going to that basket. And that one that I'm talking about on that rebound, he just exploded in there and was up and almost got the dunk on the rebound, but I think he got fouled instead. But a kid who has really come a long way in your program so far. Let's talk about Corey.
So Corey probably had the game of his life on Saturday night. Just a kid that's really waited his time. And kind of got his opportunity by working hard in practice, focusing on the defensive end first. And then, some of our offensive stuff is where you just got to be in the corner ready to shoot. And he was able to knock down, score 10 points in the fourth quarter, and really kind of maintain that lead versus Milton Union. So I'm very happy for Corey. Another junior, Just like Regola and Zian, that is going to put in a lot of time this offseason, and a kid you may not recognize on the floor next year because he's going to be so much better.
Yeah. What about JJ? Is he a senior?
JJ's a senior, just a kid that's been buying his time here a little bit. He's had some bouts with sickness, and he's had an injury, and he just hasn't got his chance to get some extended playing time. And one of the reasons why he's playing behind Ben and Nate, who are very good. So, but you wouldn't know that by watching JJ practice. He's been very good in practice. He's done a great job of doing what we've asked.
Well, I tell you, you've got a good nucleus, I think, getting ready to come back for next year. Is there anybody I missed here that we should be talking about?
We can talk about almost everyone down our list because people see who plays on Friday and Tuesday nights. But with that, you need guys to practice. And Devin Fosler, like I mentioned before, is surprisingly athletic. I think when he commits this offseason, he could be a kid that really helps us next year. Cam Ashton is probably one of our better corner shooters. Once again, just a kid that does everything right, and his body language in practice is great. So you never know. And he's a kid that just waits his chance, and if the chance presents himself, I'm sure that he's going to take full advantage of it. And then you finish with Holden Yount and Logan Copsey, two guys that have been very good practice players with us this year, and Holden provides a lot of physicality, a football player coming over from the football team, and Logan Copsey is a kid who's focused on basketball here. He's about 6'2", right now, but he looks like he can grow another 2 or 3 inches, and he's put a lot of time in. And the great thing about Logan is that he didn't play a lot last year on JV, and going into this year, you think, okay, is he even going to make the team? Well, he put in a lot of time this offseason just to make the varsity team, once again, just like Devin and the rest of our juniors, when they commit to this offseason, you're not going to recognize a lot of them next year. I think we're just going to be so much better.
Good. I've watched a lot of your JV games too when I come out, and you've got some pretty good sized boys. Not necessarily real tall, but built more like the Monin kid. And Mick Karn is one of those. Now, Mick is the backup quarterback on the football team, and you got to see him last year when he filled in for the injured quarterback with his running game. And you see him out there on the basketball floor, and I don't think he realized that he's now playing basketball instead of football, because that kid is up and down the floor and he's going into people.
He is, and he's very strong and very athletic and can shoot the ball a little bit. So, Mick will find his role next year, and we look for Mick and Corey Tucker, two kids that are now dressed in varsity, to kind of help out with things, next year as well. So, the experience they're getting here, practicing a little bit here and there with the varsity is very valuable. They'll dress with us on the tournament team and get some extended practice time. So, two kids that you watch them in the JV game, they're pretty exciting to watch.
Okay. Well, Coach, we want to thank you for your time again. We want to thank our sponsors one more time before we get out of here. That's First Choice Paint and Body Shop on North 25A in Piqua, Sherry Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Truck on 25A here in Piqua on the north side. Morris Heating and Cooling in their new facility down in Young and College Street, and also F45 Fitness Training Gym there behind the Buffalo Wings and Rings along outside the mall. That's what I was trying to think of, folks. So, Coach, good luck in your coming games, and we'll check out and see how you're doing when you get the tournament draw. And you guys come on out and watch the games on this Friday night. That would be, the date would be the 10th of February. And then come back on the 11th and watch Elida come in and play, as you say, Coach, a very basic, fundamentally sound basketball team coming out of Coach Thompson up there. And also, then back on Tuesday, you go out over to Greenville and kind of set that record straight, and then come down here in Troy. And Troy night is the Green Out night, and in remembrance of Corporal Pearson, and so be sure you get your T-shirts. They're only $10 a piece. You can get them just about any place in town, and we all want to be wearing our green shirts on that night. So, Coach, again, thank you. Good luck the rest of the season, and we want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.